Winston Churchill is one of the most famous British people of all time. He was Prime Minister during World War II and is mostly remembered for his incredible speeches, which rallied the British people in their darkest days. But who was Winston Churchill? What did he do? And are there any interesting facts that we should know about him? Well, here are 12 things you need to know about Winston Churchill. Number 12. His father wanted him to be an MP. Winston Leonard Spencer. Churchill was born in November 1874 in Blenheim Palace. He grew up in relative wealth, although his father wanted him to enter politics. This wasn't necessarily because he thought his son would make a good politician, but more because he thought it would be a great way for his son to secure a well-paid sinecure. Basically, he wanted his son to get a low-work job with a high salary. The young Churchill was sent to prestigious boarding schools before going to university, where he studied at Harrow and then Cambridge. However, while at these prestigious institutions, Churchill was not a top student. In fact, he failed his exams at Cambridge, and he only scraped by at Harrow. Number 11. Military beginnings. From a young age, Churchill knew he didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps and become a politician. Instead, he wanted to join the military. As soon as he turned 18 years old, Churchill joined the army and became an officer. He would have been able to get into Sandhurst, which is what most rich kids did at the time. But he felt that this was beneath him because his dad had gone there. Instead, he went to the Staff College at Camberley, which was regarded as a little bit more prestigious. Unfortunately, once again, Churchill's grades were not particularly impressive, and he was not a standout student. Number 10. Fighting in India. After graduating from military college, Churchill's first posting was to India, which at the time was part of the British Empire. He arrived in India in 1897, and his job was to put down rebellions against the British Empire. At this point in history, many Indians resented the British ruling over them, and there were regular rebellions against the British forces. In fact, Churchill would play an integral role in suppressing one of the largest rebellions of all time. This rebellion was started by the infamous leader called the Rani of Jhansi. She was a queen of an Indian state, and she led thousands of rebels in an attempt to overthrow the British. Unfortunately for the rebels, Churchill was able to defeat them, and the Rani was killed during the battle. Number 9. Prisoner of war. Later on in his career, Churchill was fighting against the Boers in South Africa. One day, Churchill got separated from his unit and was captured by the enemy. He was thrown in a prison camp and spent several months as a prisoner of war. Churchill was not particularly happy being a prisoner of war, so he attempted to escape on several occasions. It was during one of these escape attempts that Churchill really made a name for himself. He managed to escape from prison by tunneling out. It was actually such an intricate tunnel that the guards assumed that it must have been dug by someone with experience. They were surprised to find out that it was just Winston Churchill. Number 8. Smoking cigars and drinking. One thing you might not know about Churchill is that he was quite the partier. He smoked cigars, drank alcohol, and enjoyed a good time. He was also known for his chain smoking, and it's said that he could smoke up to 20 cigars a day. He was also known for drinking large amounts of alcohol, and it's said that he could drink anyone under the table. One story goes that Churchill once drank 8 glasses of champagne in a row without stopping. In fact, his love of alcohol was so well known that there was even a special Churchill cocktail invented in his honor. The drink was made with gin, vermouth, and orange bitters, and was named after the Prime Minister's love of smoking cigars. Number 7. Not much of a people's person. Despite being one of the most famous British people of all time, Churchill was actually not very good with people. He was often seen as rude, arrogant, and condescending. He was also not very good at small talk and would often make people feel uncomfortable with his bluntness. There is even a story that Churchill once told a group of school children that they were all a bunch of noisy little animals. Despite his rudeness, however, Churchill was still loved by the British people. This was because he was seen as a strong leader who was willing to stand up for what he believed in, even if it meant being unpopular. Number 6. Had a son out of wedlock. One of the biggest scandals in Winston Churchill's life was that he had a son out of wedlock. This happened while he was still married to his wife, Clementine. At the time, this was a huge scandal, and it nearly cost him his political career. Churchill's affair with his valet's wife resulted in the birth of a son, Randolph. Despite the scandal, Churchill never divorced his wife, and he kept the affair a secret until he was nearly 70 years old. It's believed that he was ashamed of the affair and didn't want it to come between him and his wife. Number 5, painter and artist. Aside from being a politician and military man, Churchill was also a painter and artist. He was a very talented painter, and his paintings are now displayed in galleries around the world. In fact, he was so good that he was offered a place at the Royal Academy of Arts, but he turned it down because he didn't want to be a full-time artist. Instead, he wanted to be a politician and military man. Despite his talent, Churchill was never able to sell a painting during his lifetime. It wasn't until after he died that his paintings started to fetch high prices at auction. Number 4, American ancestry. Even though Churchill was born in England, he was actually of American descent. His mother was an American citizen, and he himself could have dual citizenship. However, he chose to renounce his American citizenship in order to serve in the British military. This was a difficult decision for him because he had a lot of family in America and he loved the country. But he felt that his duty was to serve his motherland, England. Number 3, not the greatest lover. Despite being married twice and having 5 children, Churchill was not known for being a great lover. In fact, he was often mocked by his friends for his lack of prowess in the bedroom. There is even a story that he once tried to seduce a woman by reading her poetry, but she laughed him off. Despite his lack of success with women, however, Churchill was still seen as a ladies' man. This was because he was a charismatic and confident man who knew how to dress well and talk to women. Number 2, his mother was a force to be reckoned with. While Churchill's father wanted him to go into politics, it was actually his mother who encouraged him to pursue a military career. His mother was a strong-willed woman who believed that her son should follow his dreams. She was also a very intelligent woman, and she knew that Churchill was capable of great things. In fact, it was his mother who pushed him to attend military college, and she was instrumental in shaping his early career. Number 1, bricklayer for a day. When he was younger, Churchill was determined to prove everyone wrong who thought he wasn't capable of anything. He once took a job as a bricklayer to show everyone that he was capable of hard manual labor. He worked for a day as a bricklayer and earned a wage of 2 shillings and 6 pence. He was not particularly good at the job, but he was determined to prove that he was capable of doing it. After a day of laying bricks, he decided that he much preferred being a politician. Now, it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below. Which fact about Winston Churchill surprised you the most? If you want to keep learning about historical figures, stay tuned for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.